Welcome to the very last episode of Seagull Eagle, where one club wins a European trophy and the other one says, now it's my turn.
Yes, this week at Brighton, a lacklustre performance on the last day meant an anxious wait. But in the end, we made it to Europe. Just.
And this week at Palace, a narrow defeat at Arsenal means very little. And a trip to Leipzig ends in European glory. 120 years without a trophy, and now we've got 3.
Oh no. Well, we'll discuss all of this because this is Seagull Eagle. Hello Andy, how are you?
I'm all right, Neil. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. Yeah, not too bad, not too bad.
It's been quite a week, mate. It's been quite a week.
It really has, hasn't it? Look, first of all, let me just say for one thing, right?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
That means a lot. That means a lot. Thank you. Thank you very much. And congratulations to Brighton for making it into Europe for next year, right? So
Yeah.
you can pick up where we left off, right? So, I mean, isn't it what you said to me? I mean, it's a given, right? You've got to win it.
Thought that would start. Thought that would be the first thing. Have you seen the teams that are in it this year? We'll get to that, actually. I'll talk about that in a bit. Congratulations, mate. Really, honestly. How was your day? How was the travel? How was everything? Just talk to me.
Mate, it was an epic trip. And I was just saying to you, actually, before we went live on air, that it's probably a good job we waited a couple of days to do the podcast because my voice has only just come back. My voice was lost before we got into the stadium, as was my son's. And I think the near 23 hours it took us to get home because P&O didn't let us on the ferry. They overbooked it.
Wow.
It took us a while to get there. I think we were there for 18 hours in Germany. So it was a bit of a whistle-stop tour. Listen, it was one of the best experiences and a genuine joy to have experienced it with my boy. And yeah, mate, we've created some memories we ain't ever going to forget. And I mean, look, I'll go into it in a little bit, but even just like getting off a coach in Leipzig and seeing a Crystal Palace fan zone, like in the middle of Leipzig, a German town, is just surreal in itself, right?
Yeah.
You know, like the stature of it and just the ridiculousness of it all. It was amazing. And I just think like it's a fairy tale, isn't it? It's an absolute fairy tale when you look at everything that has been accomplished over this period of time. And also a lovely goodbye to Glasner as well. So, how do you feel about getting into Europe?
It's a strange one, isn't it? I think because we'll talk about it in a bit more detail later. But I think the overriding feeling, probably at about 6 o'clock on the evening after the game had finished, was probably relief more than anything. Because it was obviously such a horrific sort of end to the season in some respects for Brighton, but. In hindsight now, having sat down and everything's finished and over and done with, we would have taken this at the beginning of the season. And this is, I said it to you a couple of weeks ago that, and I still maintain this, that 8th place Conference League football feels like an opportunity to win a trophy, as you guys have just proved, as West Ham proved. This is a situation that doesn't arise that often. And actually, we've found ourselves now, maybe by luck, maybe by a bit of good fortune, yes, but we've actually found ourselves now in a competition where we can actually win a blimmin' trophy. And that would be just the ultimate.
Well, arguably, you got a better chance of winning the Conference League than you have of the FA Cup or the
Totally
any of
true.
the other competitions that you've got. And also, look, when you're in Europe in the league phase and stuff, you've got an opportunity to lose a couple of games and still win a trophy.
Yeah.
So I think. The one thing that has annoyed me from a very select few Brighton fans, by the way, very select few online, they're still wanging on about the league position, which we don't really care about. And also, there's the whole it's not really a proper competition anyway. Anyone can win it. And it's like, well, you won't be saying that next year, will you guys? Because honestly, I wish you all the best. I've got no reason to stop you from, wanting to win that. I think it's brilliant that you're in that competition. And actually, out of the two clubs now next year, who's got a better chance for a trophy next year? You have.
Yeah,
I would
yeah,
say.
totally agree.
Because
Totally agree,
if
mate.
you see some of the teams in the Europa League next year, it's
Yeah,
terrifying.
yeah, it was when
So,
we were in
yeah.
it. But yeah, no, I agree. Well, look, let's talk about. Well, actually, it's probably something we need to touch on before we start the actual football. You sort of said it in the intro as well. To those that keenly eared would have heard Andy say, this is the very last episode of Seagull Eagle. It's been a blast, but unfortunately, due to other priorities, let's put it that way, we just can't continue doing this, and it's a shame. But I think we're leaving out on a high, put it that way. I think we've got to a point where it's been a huge amount of fun. But look, we'll talk about it more later and say goodbyes and stuff. But for now, I think rather than wanging on about it, let's just talk about the football and talk about the things that really matter, which is the first things first, Conference League final, Andy, and your boys. Go on, just talk me through it. Talk me through the day and talk me through how it all went.
Okay, well, in order to do this, I need to join you on the Cap Front official merchandise.
Nice.
There we go. There's the winners on that side and the runners up on that side. So, yes, biggest game in Crystal Palace's history. First ever European final. First ever chance to lift a continental trophy, Neil, as well. Leipzig absolutely packed with Palace supporters who travelled from South London for a night, let's be honest, that we'd all dreamed of for our entire lives. A European final in a European city. The hype was unbelievable. As I said earlier, the people that travelled, including my son and I, travelled out by coach overnight. And genuinely, mate, it's an experience of a lifetime. I'm going to have to take this cap off because I look like an absolute idiot. I'm really sorry. There we go. Standing in our way, Rayo Vallecano themselves looking to make history, right? They were in their first ever European final. What I witnessed was two sets of fans who were having the times of their lives. And we spoke to so many of them in the fan zone, and they were lovely. And they were just like, it was like Christmas Day, right? Everyone was just having a lovely day. Anyway, stakes couldn't be higher. European silverware, Europa League qualification, and obviously Oliver Glasner's last match. So it was all or nothing for Palace, really. It was finish on a high or struggle to get a good manager next year if we, because we wouldn't be in Europe, right? So 90 minutes away from history. As I said, atmosphere in Leipzig was superb. I'll just talk you through my day if that's okay with you, Neil, because this was a whole new experience. Because for next year, you might want to know about this. Do you know what I mean? Because it's important. It's important, right? European final. It might be you next year. Probably won't be us. Let's be honest. I don't know. Who knows, right? Anything can happen. We got off the coach, as I said, straight into the Palace fan zone, which was surreal in itself. Then we headed straight to our hotel. Right, which, as I said to you, we booked this hotel in the forest somewhere, and then I decided that was a really bad idea, and it was a really bad idea, by the way, because the public transport after the game, although free for everybody, there was none, which is why it was free. So us rebooking a hotel at slightly more money in the centre and refreshinghotels.com was definitely the way forward.
Right,
and by doing that, we actually ended up booking the same hotel as Crystal Palace. A complete and utter fluke. And we found that out as we walked into reception, very tired off this coach without any sleep. Walked in, and my son said to me, "That's Will Hughes." And I went, "Don't be so ridiculous." And I was like, "That is Will Hughes. That's also Brennan Johnson. And that's also the entire coaching staff and everyone important and their families."
Wow.
So my boy went straight over and got a photo with Hughes. And yeah, we were like, this could be interesting. I wonder what's going to happen later, which I'll get onto a little bit later on.
Did you tell Brennan Johnson that he was rubbish, or did you?
No, because I guess the point of the matter is he wouldn't have been sat in reception at 2:00 in the afternoon in a final if he was starting. So I think it was obvious. I actually felt like phoning up the press and going, "Well, I know he's not playing," because they still sat there. We then we got changed. We headed to the neutral fan zone, right? So obviously they had the Palace bit, the Rayo Vallecano bit, and then they had the UEFA neutral bit. And that was right in the centre. They had a massive big stage there, live bands, all that kind of stuff going on. Loads of competitions. Like we've got, we had, like when you've got the penalty shootout with the robotic goalkeeper and all that. They had loads of them going on. They had tops there, the football cards people running competitions and my son ended up with, I don't know, easily 300 football cards that he won on these competitions and all sorts of stuff. Really, really, really good crack. Loads of giveaways, superb banter, as I said, with the away fans as well. And then
So
after that,
what sort of time was that? What time did you get to the neutral fan zone-ish?
Well, I would say probably about 4 o'clock.
4
we
o'clock.
got
What time was
everywhere.
kick-off?
9 there.
9 o'clock. Okay.
Yeah, so we got everywhere at peak. I think the only thing I would do in the future is not get a coach and arrive there 5 hours before kickoff. I would try and, because I think we would have liked to have soaked it up a little bit more and kind of spent a bit more time kind of enjoying it, I think. And then we then went from there. We were going to try and get a photo because they had the actual trophy there, the actual one, where you could get up and have a photo, but the queue was halfway to France. So we decided to go and do all the other stuff, and we thought, if the queue goes down, then we'll have a go. But by the time we got there was about 20 big burly security guards packing it up to take it to the stadium. So we missed that opportunity. But I'm sure I get a chance in the coming weeks at Palace to go and see it. So yeah, we headed to the Palace fan zone, and by the time we got there was hardly anyone there because obviously the Holmesdale fanatics had said, don't worry about the Palace fan zone, we'll just meet over here by the trees and go on our march. So bless them, the Palace fan zone was reasonably empty.
Right.
So we had a drink there and had a little wander around. Then me and Harry kind of saw a few sites walking towards where we thought the march was going to be because Harry was insistent that we joined this march, which I wasn't all in for, to be brutally honest, because I thought, being the old man that I am, thinking, you join a march, right? You're going to be 20,000 people behind in the queue when you get to the stadium, right? Whereas if you go now, you're getting in. But then I thought to myself, hang on, what am I going to do if I get in? I'm just going to stand there. So I thought, sod it, let's just join the march. And I'm so glad we did because it was one of the most surreal and enjoyable experiences of my life. Wow. It went on forever. It went off. I literally completed a half marathon around Leipzig, but it was genuinely superb. If you can imagine, all of the traffic had to stop, and we're not talking like there was cars that just couldn't move, right? There was like marching in between cars, trams had to stop, everything just came to a complete and utter stop, and then we were marching from wall to wall down these streets, right? And there was just Palace fans as far as you could see from front and back, and all singing the same songs. And if you like, the bit that just made it really special was, you can imagine, like, I don't know, like a German city, and there's loads of apartments either side, a couple of balconies looking over and windows and all that. So all the locals were opening their windows and interacting with the crowds. There was families with young kids there, all chanting along and clapping. My highlight was this guy who'd clearly just got up, I think. I don't know what he was doing. It was the afternoon, but he was in his pajamas and had a big tub of carrots. And he was stood there eating the carrots, and then he decided to share his carrots with the crowd. So he was throwing carrots out to everybody. It was just, honestly, mate, it was the most surreal thing that I've ever witnessed in my life. And like, do you know, like I'm going to say something that you're going to hate now, but you're walking along with nearly probably 20,000 people, right, in Germany, and you're like, Palace are massive. Like, Palace are pretty big here. Like, this isn't a relegation-stricken club from administration times. This is visibly huge, right? Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get it.
Oh, absolutely surreal. So then, of course, we then marched along, and the police were thanking the Palace fans on megaphone, saying, "You guys have been great." And I thought that was just lovely. It's because, I mean, they looked like they were about to kill us, because clearly they didn't want to be stood there in 35-degree heat with machine guns and stab vests on. But they didn't have to use any of it. They were having a lovely time, and everyone was in great spirits. And then we got to the stadium, and it's quite. It was more than I thought it would be, actually. It looks quite impressive from a distance. You know, big kind of bell tower as you approach it. Nice big outside area where there's loads of people kind of drinking on benches, and like there's loads of stuff to do there and things like that. I think we got some free sunglasses from Decathlon and, random giveaways and things like that going on. So we managed to get in. The only slight shambles was that it took so bloody long because obviously everyone was queuing to get frisked from security.
Right. Yeah.
And then we got into the stadium, had a couple of drinks, and Found our seats, which were epic, by the way. Really lucky. We were sat in row 2 at the halfway line.
I was going to ask you about this because you said you thought you were around about the halfway line. So
Yeah.
as the TV pictures were showing, were you behind the cameras or in front of the cameras where the dugouts were then?
We were underneath the cameras, basically. So behind us was all of the press and the live commentary. And loads of people who I believe, but I didn't realise half of them people were there. We must have walked past them all. Loads of really cool people commentating behind us. But yeah, no, you wouldn't have seen us on telly because we were literally row 2 underneath where the cameras were. But I'll tell you something, from a view of what we were about to experience before the game, which was the tifos. I mean, it was a front row view to something quite spectacular, to be honest. So obviously they did their little weird kind of pre-match. They got the drum kit out, didn't they? I'm not quite sure what that was about.
Yeah.
And all of the kind of the sheets moving around the stadium and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't see any of that. I was just watching the tifos from both sides. Obviously, the Palace tifo was quite spectacular. Well done to the Homesdale fanatics for sorting that one out. The biggest one I've ever seen. Absolutely ridiculous. It's hard to even understand the scale of it until you're like, oh, hang on, wow. So I think that was, what was it? It was like a flight board at an airport, wasn't it? And it was like administration cancelled, fake up, landed Europa League boarding, which I thought was just, I mean, that's arrogance in itself. I loved it because there were loads of people going next to me going, hey, they got that wrong. It's the Conference League. No, it's next year, mate. They're already on to the next one. So I thought that was superb. And obviously all the flags and stuff. And then you look to your left and then you see these absolute nutters who are just like, haven't shut up since they got in. Bearing in mind, they went for their own march. And all the Palace fans like me who had just walked probably about 4 miles. I did exaggerate about a marathon. It was about probably 4 miles that we've just walked around Leipzig, singing our hearts out. I was exhausted, especially given the fact that there was about 87 steps to get up and then 87 steps to get down with my dodgy knee. So then I was exhausted, but I'd already lost my voice, and all these the Rayo Vallecano fans were going absolutely mad. They pulled out their massive big banner across the front, then they pulled out their big tifo, then which was the same size as ours, just with a random picture on.
I think to be fair, I think both sets of fans, quite rightly, I think that's the thing, isn't it, about the Conference League, right? We joke about it being a Mickey Mouse Cup and all this sort of stuff, but what it does do, and this was the reason why UEFA brought it in, it gives other teams opportunities. And, clubs like Palace, clubs like Rayo Vallecano, and now clubs like Brighton, it's given us opportunities to do something that we never thought we'd be able to do. And so, yeah, absolutely, you should have a great time when you go. You should absolutely take advantage of the fact that you are in that position. So, no, it looked a fantastic sight, I have to be honest.
Mate, it was just superb. It was just superb. And so we were stood there, and then all of a sudden, after that, the excitement, I didn't really have a chance to think about what was about to happen, Neil, because it was all just, I literally got off a coach, ends up in a fan zone, end up marching around Leipzig. Then I was watching the tifos, and at that moment, I was like, oh my God, like, this is a European fight. I'm actually quite nervous about this now.
Yeah.
So the game started, quite happy to see that I wasn't in the Cucumber Sandwich Brigade seats. I was a bit concerned about that it was going to be everybody sat down calmly, and that wasn't the case. Everyone was stood up, shouting, cheering, jumping around, which was great. And then obviously from that moment on, it was just a crazy ride. Was, by a disclaimer, no classic. Right?
Oh, no.
It was no classic of a game. And I don't think anyone ever thought it was going to be a classic of a game.
I don't think many finals are. I think they're too tense,
No. In terms of lineups, then, should we talk about that?
Yeah. Okay.
One enforced change from the semi-final victory over Shakhtar. Richards missed out through injury, as we thought he would, with his ankle problem. Chadi Riyad stepped in the back three and did a superb job. Love a bit of Chadi Riyad. What a legend. I think he's certainly showing the player that he is going to be for us. So, yes, well done, Chadi. And then Wharton somehow managed to play through his injury. And I think I did say to you in the last podcast, I was a good 10, 15 rows away from seeing Adam Wharton wearing his flip-flops at the end of the Arsenal game. And his ankle was twice the size that it should be, visibly, from that distance. And he was proper limping. Somehow, in 4 days, he's managed to get himself to a place where he can put in a man-of-the-match performance in a cup final.
Yeah.
Wizardry. Christ, I mean, has he been in some kind of ice chamber for 4 days. I don't know, but
Probably an
yeah,
oxygen tent or something like that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I
mad.
mean, and let's talk about him for a second. Like, I know you're probably going to talk about the whole game and everything, but
Mm.
he was clearly the best player on the pitch. I mean, he is a
Yeah,
lot of the time anyway, but on that, he showed up for that game, didn't he? Let's be
mate,
honest.
he absolutely did. I think. Do you know what the funny thing was that the people around me in the stadium actually thought that Mitchell was the man of the match in that game, and I kind of, for me, it was a bit of a toss up between the two and Kamada, but I would say. I mean, look, in terms of creating the opportunities
Yeah.
and what happened there, I mean, mate, there's no doubt. And I think, look, that boy had something to prove, right? He only a few days before that had been missed out in the England squad, which I think is just the worst decision. Taking away the fact that I'm a Palace supporter, seeing what he offers over some of the alternatives, I'm gutted for him. I genuinely am. Also, though, I'm not upset by the fact that let's keep him away from that world stage just a little bit longer. keep him in the cupboard. But other than that, mate, Glasner kind of trusted the side that had got us this far, right? And luckily, we managed to kind of not have any other injuries. First half, then key moments. Look, mate, understandably, it was a very nervous opening. Obviously, two clubs playing their first European final. Neither wanted to make a mistake, I guess. And I think that's the thing when you first start off, don't you? It's like, right, don't muck it up. Just no one do anything too risky. I think we looked probably the most positive side early on. Sarr had a good opportunity. Well, in fact, two good opportunities in the first 10 minutes. First a dangerous run in behind and then a blocked effort after Pino attempted to kind of slide him through. I think the first major flashpoint came at around the 20-minute mark where Pino appeared to break free and the defender caught him as he tried to escape. And that was the first bit where it was like, oh, what's happening here? Because the ref 100% should have, I believe that was a red. I mean, he was the last man. And it's these moments where you're thinking to yourself, please don't make that count later on. Please, do you know what I mean? Because that was tactically he pulled him back, and that was it. We would have been through on goal.
Yeah, I definitely seen them given. Absolutely, I get your point totally.
100%.
And it was it was strange for a European referee and a European VAR to not give that in some respects, because that's the sort of thing they definitely give straight away. You know.
I mean, he went straight for the yellow, though, and that's the thing. So I think it's a case of if he hadn't have gone straight for a yellow, then VAR might have got involved and maybe gone, actually, it's a red. But anyway. And then Rayo's best chance arrived 5 minutes later as they hooked an effort wide. The game, I thought, from my perspective, I mean, it'd be interesting to find out from a neutral perspective, but I found it quite tense, all of it, at this point. Neither side wanted to commit too much going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're absolutely right. I think the first sort of 30 minutes or so, it was very much that. And I think it was all down to Palace, because I think Rayo Vallecano, they play a certain way, and I don't think they changed their style. But they are quite a manic team. The way they play is non-stop, and it's high pressure, and when they've got the ball, they want to move it as quickly as possible. And I felt like the first half was all about if Rayo Vallecano could break you down, because if they could do that, then okay, that we've got a game on. If they can't do that, then you will basically be playing the style that you're used to playing, you know. And I think it sort of ended up that way. I think you end up with almost, I think it was like 58% for Rayo Vallecano in possession, you know. So it was clearly going to be that type of game.
Oh, mate, absolutely. And they don't concede many goals either, right? Then I think it's De Frutos then tested Henderson. There was that effort that kind of, it bent towards him really in the bottom corner and just went wide. And I think that was a moment that left us all a little bit gasping, which is, hang on, these guys can do a bit of damage. And then came our best chance the first half, which kind of all happened in front of me, actually. And it was, mate, I was beside myself that we missed this one. Deep into the first half stoppage time, the perfect time in a final to score a goal, right? Wharton delivered a magnificent ball into the box, and Mitchell just ran across and attacked it brilliantly, diving header, and just didn't quite hit it in the right place with his head, inches wide. And it just felt like that was a match-winning moment right there. And Mitchell's face just said it all. It was like, how? And I mean, we can all say that, but they are I mean, we see them goals going all the time, Neil, but they are incredibly difficult to score.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
you just get used to watching them go in, didn't you?
Absolutely. It was a really great ball. It was a great run. It was just a shame that it was Mitchell. No offence to him, but obviously, he's not a goal scorer in that sense, but found himself in the right place. But yeah, it did go wide. It wasn't inches. It was about 3 foot, but I take your point.
Measurements have never been my strong point, Neil, to be fair. Looked like inches from where I was sat,
Fair
so
enough.
We'll go with that. So look, half-time 0-0, right? Not much to separate the two sides. I think we did look like the best team in the first half. Tight, tense, and it felt very much like one moment, one goal, one thing could actually decide this at the time. My only challenge at halftime was to go and get a glass of water, of which cost me €11, Neil, for a glass of water.
Wow.
That's what I did at halftime. Yeah.
Thanks, UEFA.
There we go. And then that ended up getting thrown over someone, I think, at the end anyway, when we scored, so it was fine. most expensive couple of sips of water I've ever had. Second half, key moments then. Palace started the second half like a team determined to make history. Whatever Glasner said to him, it worked. And within 6 minutes, we got our moment. Wharton collected the ball in midfield, drove the ball with purpose. Quite why they gave him that much space, I have absolutely no idea. But one thing, Neil, that I would say, like the effect that fans have on a game, right? Every now and again, 10,000, 11,000 people behind the goal can go, shoot, and then it puts that thing into the head, which is like, oh, I'm going to have a go, right? That's almost an excuse to miss this, isn't it? Do you get what I'm saying? And that's exactly what Wharton did, right? Because the old Wharton would have passed it across. But no, this Wharton, after his newfound confidence as well, and however many people, 1,000 people going, shoot, including me going, no, have a go. He had a shot, didn't he? Keeper could only palm it out because he wasn't expecting him to shoot. And then Mateta was just there, quickest, stuck in the boot. The ball looped agonisingly towards goal. Nothing fancy. In fact, I actually thought it was going over. And it crossed the line. Absolute pandemonium across everywhere. And Palace are 1-0 up in a European final. Can we just take note of this new thing that I've seen, which is there is a still picture of Mateta doing the boom, kicking the corner flag, and the entire Palace team recreating it behind him. Mate, that is a legendary image. That will be seen for years.
Yeah,
wonderful.
Yeah, it is. It was
absolutely wonderful.
It was really good from Mateta's perspective. A really pure goal scoring appetite that he's got. I think when it didn't actually hit his boot. I think it ended up hitting his shin. He just got something on it, basically. Yeah. But that's all that mattered. It was just the reaction that made it score a goal. The fact that he got his foot out to get to the ball, and it went in. And I get it, mate. I mean, what was it like from your point of view, sitting in the stands when that moment happened? What did you do? Like, how did it feel?
Well, do you know what? It was one of them goals, right? Because of the way that he hit it, that he kind of shinned it in, as you said. You kind of just waiting for it to not go in. Does that make sense? Like if someone struck the ball with meaning, you're waiting for the net to bounce and you're like, and then you're going for it. But in this occasion, there was a little bit of a delay because I think everyone was like, oh my God, that just went in. Went in. It went in. Right. And obviously then that's when my £11 water went flying and most of everyone else's drinks. And there was absolute chaos. And then disbelief, of course, because, Palace, I think the majority of the, apart from, like my son, the 13 and 14 and 15-year-olds who have only ever known this, most of the rest of them are thinking, we're still going to lose 3-1. Still can't believe it's actually going to happen. And then, of course, what happened after that, mate, for the next 10 minutes, we could have finished the game completely.
Yeah.
There was a period of dominance, which was just lovely to see. Everyone kind of found their confidence. And Pino, bless him, produced one of the most ridiculous moments of the season. Try and recreate this one again, right? Again, what did Palace do? We hit the bar. What did we do? We hit the post. How many times in a game do we bloody do this? It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Free kick, hits one post, keeper dives, ends up to the side of the goal, right? Basically defending nothing, right? Nearly the corner flag. It then hits the other post. Oh, sorry, rolls across the goal line, hits the other post. Then it hits a Rayo defender trying to clear, and then he hits the woodwork again. 3 impacts in the woodwork in one attack, and poor old Chadi Riyad was there trying to bend his body in some way, shape, or form to get connection on it, realizing that he can't get his leg up to his shoulder. And I mean, I half jumped up 3 times, ready to just go absolutely mad. And then Rayo decided that on the hour mark, they probably ought to have a go. And Palace, I thought, did really, really well, right? We soaked up the pressure. De Frutos hit the side netting from a really tight angle. I did think it had gone in. I'm not going to lie to you. From where I was sat, it's very difficult when their side netting goes. And then they had a free kick, which they fired over. One thing that, bless Rayo, they weren't very good at was the clinical edge in this game. If they had it, then it would have been a bit more competitive, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get that you've got obviously rose-coloured glasses on and you're going to feel like Palace are going to let it slip at any point and you're worried about it. But actually, as a neutral watching the game, there wasn't really anything from Rayo Vallecano that you could see them really scoring. They looked a little bit clueless as soon as the ball got to the penalty area. They were really good up until that point, and they worked hard. They were good passers and they were on a really good pace of game constantly. But as soon as the ball got to the penalty box, they looked clueless, I have to be honest. And
yeah,
it just didn't look like they were going to get an opportunity unless you guys mucked it up. Unless you guys caused a mistake or something. It just didn't look like it.
But I think the way that Glasner set it up, with the kind of the compact formation and the way that we basically nullified their outlets, which is what a lot of people have done to us over the time. So I think that's probably a lot of this. So when we had our backs against the wall a little bit, I did feel like we were in reasonably safe hands, especially given the fact that Richards wasn't there, and we got Chadi Riyad, who's only played about 5 or 6 games since he's been injured for a year. Did brilliantly, absolutely brilliantly. 77th minute, Mateta comes off to a standing ovation from the Palace fans. How things have changed, aren't we fickle? And then his job was done. And then a few minutes later, Palace managed the game brilliantly. Mitchell made a huge clearing header under pressure. Henderson commanded his area. And as I say, Lacroix just headed everything in sight. 5 minutes of added time. I don't quite know where they got that from. I think it was because the Palace fans were continuing to sing UEFA. And maybe they were like, well, do you know what? We're going to add 5 minutes on. Let's see if they can do anything about that. So that felt a little bit like, how the hell is that happening? But anyway, it felt like an eternity. And then finally, the final whistle blew. I've got a video of this actually, and it's pretty much unwatchable, of the final whistle being blown. And then my phone just kind of goes all over the place, hugging random strangers. Absolutely crazy. And then, the realisation hits that I've just witnessed Palace winning a European trophy, albeit the Conference League. I know everybody, Brighton fans, going, it's not a real trophy. Yes, it is, because you're in it next year.
It is a real trophy.
We won a European trophy, and that just tops off an absolutely ridiculous 13 months. Then a lovely thing happens, which I just thoroughly enjoyed. Adam Wharton, the whole team are in the little kind of the tunnel ready for everybody they've created like a little walkway, haven't they? Ready for everyone to kind of go through. Adam Wharton waters the grass with his water bottle, and then Glasner does what many children do on a hot summer's day in the garden, and does a leaping dive forward and slides across the glass, recreating that moment from the final when Frankfurt won. And he promised that he would do it to the players if they won. So mate, it was phenomenal. And then of course the boys lifted the trophy. Only negative for us was that with our lovely pitch side seats that we had, we ended up seeing the back of the trophy lift.
That's annoying.
Which I've always got beef on this. Which is that they lifted the trophy to the UEFA corporate seats, the other side, right? If UEFA, if you are listening, which are probably not, but if you are, why do you not put the trophy reveal to in front of the away fans?
Of the fans that lost,
That's what you should do.
I agree.
Because then there are 3 sides of the stadium who came to watch the team that can watch them lift the trophy. I've just travelled all the way from England and I didn't see them lift the trophy. I still watched it on television. But there we go. Anyway, it was an amazing moment, mate. And I think we were in that stadium for probably an hour after Yeah, after the trophy lift, and as were the Rayo fans, which was lovely to see as well. They stayed, and they were congratulating, and they were still having a lovely time. There was no kind of sour grapes or anything like that. We then headed back to the hotel, Neil, and then I've been blessed. My boy, he'd been up for easily 24 hours at this point. Didn't sleep on the coach. And I thought, you know what, I can't take him out to the town. So let's go back and we'll get a drink and we'll see if we can see anyone in the hotel, because I figured there might be some people milling around and all that. So, yeah, so by the time we got back, we walked in and we were just surrounded by the friends and family of all the players. And it was actually quite a fun game to be playing, really. Just kind of mingling, had a drinking reception and just kind of mingling around there. If you can just imagine a hotel lobby, but a hotel lobby full of coaching staff and players' families and friends. So I'm sat there, and like sat next to me is like Mateta's mum and then Adam Walton's brother.
Wow.
And you can see who these people are because they just look like them. It's mad. And they're all, and obviously if you can't work out who it is, have a look on who's the back of their shirt, right? Because obviously it's like, it's brilliant. So yeah, and obviously all the kids and everything were coming in. It was genuinely lovely. There was lots of the players' kids that we got in a lift with some of the players' wives and kids, and the kids were like, I had 5 or 6 year old kids were just jumping up and down going, Daddy just won a European trophy. And it's like, mate, come on. Ain't that amazing? Ain't that amazing?
Yeah.
So yeah, and then obviously all the coaching staff came in and gave them a kind of bit of a clap and stuff. And then the players went round the back, quite understandably, because I think there's quite a few people waiting outside of the hotel because we had to go through quite a few levels of security to get into our hotel. They didn't believe we were staying there. So yeah, the players came in and they'd hired out the whole first floor. And I didn't realise this, but obviously because we got in the lift with some of the family, they were like, they were saying to the kids, oh, they're having a party on the first floor, and they're gonna be up all night. So we can pop down there for a little bit and see them. And then it ended up, the first floor kind of was like a mezzanine level, and we could see like Muniz and Lerma and Henderson and all that lot were kind of up there, and they gave everyone a wave, and it was all very nice. So yeah, they were all around, and it was lovely. We were there with Joel Ward, who'd obviously done all of the TV punditry. He came in and he was having a chat with everybody, and some really random people that I wasn't expecting to be there, like Scott Dan, old Palace defender.
Oh right, yeah.
He was there. Loads of our ex-players were just milling around, mate. It was a phenomenal evening, and we then got up at 6:30 the next morning and then spent 24 hours on a coach to get home. I didn't even know what my name was when I got home. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't sleep for 3 days. I had the time of my life, and I would do it all again tomorrow. Best experience ever. Wasn't just a football match, Neil. Probably the greatest night. Well, factually the greatest night in Crystal Palace's history, because if we hadn't have won the FA Cup, we wouldn't have been able to do that, would we? So it tops it. Our first European trophy, our first continental final, third major honour under Oliver Glasner. Thank you, Oliver Glasner, for everything you've done for the club. And he leaves undoubtedly now as the greatest manager the club has ever had, I believe. And I think in our last post that we did last week, we were saying about should Oliver Glasner have a statue outside the new stadium. And I think
a lot of people had their say on that post, by the way. Did you see it hit like almost 95,000 people now have seen that and talking about it? But it was a good point.
And I think most of the people agreed that he should, even though he said he doesn't want one. I don't think he gets a choice, right? Yeah, mate, honestly, I mean, I could talk about this all day. Sorry, Brighton fans, it's going to be your turn next. But mate, dream became a reality. Crystal Palace are European champions. We're on our way. To Frankfurt, we're on our way. How do we get there? I don't know. By the way, I heard the Brighton fans singing that song.
Yeah, oh yeah, we love that one too. Yeah.
There we go. Anyway, listen, mate, it's enough from me. I'm sorry.
Finally.
I'm bowing out. Neil, it's your turn. Talk to me about how your boys got a European place, which is an epic achievement. Genuinely, no sarcasm.
Thank you.
That better than we did, mate. Better than we did. We only qualified for Europe by winning a cup. You've done it over 38 games. Phenomenal. How did you do it?
Well, bizarrely, how we did it was about 4 weeks ago. So, because who knew But the game against Wolves, where we won 3-0, was the last time we needed to get any points at all, Andy. So we
Mate,
lost
points in the
against
Premier League are
Leeds.
overrated.
Well, yeah,
Overrated.
you know, we didn't know that. I mean, if I'd known at the time that, you know, those 3 points against Wolves and those 3 goals, interestingly, against Wolves, was all that we needed to do, and that would have been a lovely end to the season. But no, we didn't know that at the time, did we? So yeah, obviously, look, we we went into the last day of the season, and we were thinking to ourselves, I was certainly thinking to myself, that looking at who had to play who, as long as we got a point, I was pretty comfortable with the idea that we'd be playing in Europe. And, you know, Man United Carrick had teased the concept that he'd be playing all the kids. He was completely lying out of his arse. And the team that turned up, Man United, were pretty much full strength, apart from maybe you could argue he swapped the fullbacks. That was about it, really.
Yeah.
So they were pretty full strength. Overall, right, it was a good day, right? It really was a good day out. It was sun was shining. It was baking hot. It was fantastic.
Boiling, mate.
Yeah, got there
Boiling.
early, had a couple of pints, you know, spoke to everyone, had a good natter about the excitement of the day and what could be ahead. And, you know, the sun was shining, and it was like everyone was saying the same thing. We think, you know, yes, of course we want to win, but we're pretty sure as long as we get a point, I think that will probably be enough. You know, that'll be fine. The lineups come out, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there was an injury or anything, right? But there was a little bit of a surprise when you saw the lineups, because Baleba was dropped.
Oh.
Milner comes back into midfield with Gross. And Gomez starts, who, you know, obviously he's only had a few minutes in the previous game after his injury that he'd been out. No Minte at all. He was on the bench. So we were like, okay, Weefer's fit, back at right back. Okay, that's good. So it meant our back 4 was pretty much full strength, where most of the season you'd argue that was the normal back 4. So you had Weefer at right back, Kadioglu goes back to left back, and then you had Duncan and Van Hecker. And so that was fine. The midfield, again, as I say, therefore Milner coming back in with Gross, and then Gomez on the right, no Minte, and De Kuyper, therefore, was playing left wing. So it was fine. Like, it's not the end of the world, but there was a few people looking at it going, that feels quite a let's not lose this game formation, rather than a let's try and score some goals sort of feeling. And I am not going to sit here, for all the Brighton fans listening, I am not going to sit here and talk about the game. There is no point talking about that game. And the reason for that is Albion never got going. They literally just didn't turn up. And I mean that. And, you know, I'm not going to have a go at them, but it was very, very clear from after about 10, 15 minutes that we were not playing very well. And I don't know whether it was mentally an issue or whatever, but we just simply didn't turn up. And Man United were very relaxed. They were playing okay. We gifted them the first goal. We played okay in the first half without really troubling, though, Manchester United particularly well at all. And I would say nothing much to say really, apart from, well, the fact that as soon as Man United scored their second goal, which was literally just before half time, the game was over. Like, it honestly was. Like, there was just nothing happening in the game. So it meant that really the fans, all of us, were just watching our phones for most of the, you know, rather than anything that's going on the pitch, we were watching our phones for the whole of the second half.
I'll be honest with you, Neil, I was doing the same thing. At our dismal game, which we'll very, very likely touch on later. But I was sat there refreshing, as was most of the people around me, trying to work out who was getting into Europe, how Brighton were getting on, and were Tottenham going to get relegated. And we were all preying on certain decisions going away, because it was more interesting than the game that we were watching.
Yeah, I don't blame you. And that's exactly what happened with us. I think, you know, the second goal winning, we just didn't really look like a team that was really even believing that we were going to beat Manchester United, which is, over the last few seasons, we were always up for playing them, and we've done really well against them. So this was more to do with Well, yeah, they are better, but I think this was more
Yeah.
to do with the situation. I really do feel it. It just didn't feel right from the first whistle to the last. And as I say, we were all just looking at our phones, trying to work out what the hell was going on. And ultimately, it came down to two games. It came down to Sunderland and Chelsea, and it came down to Brentford at Liverpool.
Yeah.
And I, I mean, I don't know. I would say clearly the players couldn't handle the pressure. I have to be honest. We just didn't show up, and I think it all just let us wait, left us waiting for the full time whistle. That's all that really was going on. We were just constantly waiting for the full time whistle everywhere. And when our whistle went, I mean, we knew that at that point that Sunderland had won, right? So we knew, therefore, that they had leapfrogged us into the Europa League Europa League sort of cup, right?
And what an achievement for them.
Oh, mate. Listen, we'll talk
Phenomenal.
about them later when we talk about our predictions and stuff, but absolutely, absolutely. And it meant that we were just clinging on barely to 8th position, right? So then it all came down to what was 4 minutes, 4 minutes after our whistle went, of all of us just waiting around. The players too, everyone not knowing whether to clap, to boo, to cry, to jump up. There's players on the pitch. There's everyone looking at their own phones. There's us looking at phones, trying to work out. The guy behind me managed to get a feed going, so he was actually watching the Brentford game, so we were all huddled round. And that 4 minutes, right? That 4 minutes was such... When you look about the whole 38 games, as you said, of the whole Premier League season, right? And it comes down to 4 minutes of us all standing around watching Brentford at Anfield, trying to work out whether Brentford are going to score a goal and put us out and put themselves into a Conference League position. And honestly, the 4 minutes felt like 4 hours. I can't lie to you. I couldn't watch the football. I just sat in my seat while everyone else was around. I just sat in my seat, just stone faced. I couldn't think of anything else to do. I just didn't know what to do with myself, mate. Honestly, and when there was somebody right on the north stand, right? There was somebody in the north stand, and they clearly had a better feed than everyone else in the stadium, because they got the answer that we all were waiting for just before everyone else did. And as they started to cheer, the north stand started to join in with the "We're going to Europe," right? And they started to sing "Europe, ole ole." Oh my God. And then it just reverberated around. The players then realised as well. They saw it happen on their phones, and everyone just started to... And the sense of release, the carbon dioxide that must have come out of the stadium at that point must have been causing some sort of climate change. Honestly, it would have been huge, because suddenly the feeling that we'd had for the last 95, 96 minutes just dissipated. And it finally gave us an absolute perfect result for a lot of people, I think, I would say, that we had European football. And it was a wonderful moment. And although it feels, and I'm sure the players feel like it, they've mentioned it a few times in the after-game interviews, that, it's not how we wanted the day to go, and it's a real shame and blah, blah, blah. When you look at it on paper, Andy, you're quite right. Manchester United are the third best team in the league.
Yeah.
They are playing very well, and they have a very bright future ahead of them.
Haven't lost a game in 7 either.
So the fact that we lost that game isn't really a surprise. I mean, I think when we go back and we look back on this season, we'll say, okay, yes, the mistake at Leeds is the one that probably, an extra point there, we wouldn't have had any of this problem, but that's just the way it is. The bottom line is, we came out of that stadium with the sun shining, had a few more beers, knowing that we were in European football, and suddenly the amount of people that were talking about when the draw is, who are the teams that are qualified, and all those conversations that you have, like you did last year when we talked about it last summer. It was just wonderful, mate, honestly, and I am personally so pleased.
And you should be, because let's go back to, what is it? Brighton don't win a game in January, isn't it?
Yeah,
January.
Yeah.
And that horrid run that you went on, where, mate, I mean, you couldn't buy a win.
Nope.
And somehow, like, you turned it around and you got yourself some form back. And even though it slipped away a little bit at the end, like, you got yourself into a European spot in one of the most competitive leagues. And like that Europe, as we look, I mean, even now you look at the end of the league table and it's like there is a matter of points into it. And look at poor old Brentford, right? They scored the exact same amount of points that you did. 3 goals have stopped them going to the Conference
that's
League.
what I said. It's literally that 3-0 win against Wolves, right?
Yeah.
So that's the 3 points, but the 3 goals is actually all it came down to. 3 goals, Andy, over the whole season. Unbelievable.
You're right, though. I mean, it would have been lovely to have had a nice day at the end, but I never really thought you were going to at Man United, because I think given the fact that the manager wanted to prove a point that he was the right person and all of the other
and I think
bits and
that's what it came down to as well. I think he wanted to make sure that the players, he's doing what any old-fashioned Manchester United manager does, which is, no, we're playing football. This is important. I don't care what the game is. We win it, So, look, they played well. We didn't. But ultimately, the result means that, you're quite right. By 3 goals, Brighton finished on 53 points in 8th position. And, it's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Just by the way, as a little side point now, Fabian Hrzler, 2 seasons he's been with us. That's 2 8th positions, both seasons.
Because obviously 8th didn't get you Conference League last year.
I mean, it would normally in any other season it would have, but obviously there was something else that happened, as we know. But still, from a Hrzler's perspective, 2 back-to-back 8th positions in his first 2 seasons with us.
And that, my friend, is why you signed a new contract, isn't it? And I've got a feeling that, I hate to say this, but I've got a feeling that you're going to do all right next year. And because I mean, you look at it, your owner is going to invest. Hopefully they've already done the paperwork correctly. Is there any conflicts there, by the way?
There is no conflicts, no, because he doesn't own the other clubs. He has minority shares and stuff, very much like some of the guys that you talked about in the past that are in your sort of ones. But no, we're definitely okay. I have no doubt.
Mate, he's going to get his checkbook out, and look, you've already got more depth than us. Let's be honest, you have. And I would say that you're going to. The only problem we've got here is that in a normal situation next year, when that summer transfer window opens over the summer, the players are looking at the teams that are in Europe and going, "Oh, that's an attractive offer." Half the league are in Europe, next year. So I think it's going to be a tricky one, because everyone's going to be after the same players. Everyone's got a little bit more money next year to throw around.
Yeah, I mean, Albion have already. There's already reports out there. It seems like there's a couple of things that are already underway. With Brighton are generally quite quick. They want to move usually quite early, and I think also Brighton tend to, in a World Cup or a European Championship, when there's an international tournament in the summer, we tend to try and get a couple of things done before it, because things seem to slow down and there's a problem during that time. So it looks like we might be getting a new right back, and I think they're trying to get another winger, and we'll see from there. But look, mate, I'm just excited, as I said, and we talked about the teams that are in the Conference League last season, and I'm not going to say it now. I'm not going to say anything bad, right? But it already is a tougher league than it was last season, right? Because we've got 2 Champions League teams in the Conference League. We've got Monaco and Atalanta, right? Atalanta, who this season managed to get all the way to, I think, the quarterfinals of the Champions League. So we have got a tougher Conference League lineup, But
Neil, they got there just like you did, because they didn't do very well in the league.
Yeah, exactly.
So I would suggest that, I mean, it's an even playing field every year, unless all of a sudden, unless someone's had just a bad year, it's a blip, and then they're going to go good next year. I'm not having that, Neil. You're not putting your excuses in early. You gave me the grief, saying to me in a Crystal Palace's first ever European season that the expectation was we had to win it.
I think I said you have to get to the final. I think you have to get there. You have to, at least whatever happens on a one-off game is fine. But I think you had to get to the final, and you proved it.
I'm throwing this straight
right.
back at you, mate, and I'm saying this is not your first ever European one.
I agree.
In fact, this is a downgrade on your previous one. You got to win this, mate. You got to win it,
mate. I agree. I'm not going to back down
on
it. I agree. We should win it. We should go for it, and we should absolutely do it, because actually, as it is with you guys, this is our best chance into Europe, for next season, even after that as well.
Best chance into Europe, and also best chance to find your trophy cabinet,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And to get something in there. Mate, I mean, don't. Also, there are some very good teams that have been in the Conference League, like, because there's a lot, mate. Obviously, I'm only seeing this now because obviously we've won it, and everyone, like all the people that didn't want us to win it, are now going, mate, it's a Tin Pot Trophy. You know, everyone wins it, and so on. And you start looking out there and go, well, hang on a minute, it's not a prerequisite. English clubs who enter it don't always win it, right? There are some very good teams over the years who have not managed to do what the likes of us and West Ham did. So,
no, I absolutely
let's
agree,
see,
mate. I'm with you.
Good luck to you, though.
I don't think we should really touch on the Arsenal Palace game particularly. There was nothing major, was there, really, that you want to talk about?
Only about the fact that it felt like I'd gone to the Emirates for a game as opposed to Selhurst Park. Unbelievable, mate. Honestly, like walking from the car, it was a street party. I've never seen anything like it. And fair play to them, right? Fair play to them. Just very strange going to your home ground and there being more Arsenal fans outside the stadium than Crystal Palace fans. Party on the street. The pub that's got the away fans in it was outspilling by miles.
Really?
Honestly, it was absolute. I'll show you some videos when I get a chance. It was absolutely insane. And then obviously there was thousands and thousands and thousands of who they thought was undercover Arsenal fans sat around the stadium. I don't think they were fooling anybody. Everybody knew damn well who they were. And, you know, every time there was a goal, it was like they were sat down or whatever it would be. There was people getting thrown out all like left, right and centre. What I did like was the fact that we had a go at them, Neil. We had a go at them. And if we'd have fielded a proper team, we could have beaten them.
But it didn't matter, did it?
That was, mate, it didn't matter. But what I liked was the fact that we tried. And actually, Glasner wanted to have a good kind of home exit, as it were. He had a nice speech at the end where he thanked the fans. It was lovely. And then one thing that I did want to mention was thank you to Crystal Palace, because I thought that you did us proud by putting the situation in front of any kind of rivalry there may have been, which is that Palace opened up the away gates after the Palace fans had left and let the Arsenal fans in to see them celebrate.
That's nice.
Mostly because they were being a bloody nuisance on the streets. So it was probably better to get them in
nice.
to the stadium, which I thought was really, really nice.
I
wasn't
agree.
It was a nice gesture.
Yeah, I agree. Listen, mate, just to tie things in a nice little neat bow. So that does mean for Crystal Palace in the Premier League, not that it really matters to you one bit at all, but you finished in 15th place, 45 points ultimately. But as the last 5 or 6 games, it didn't really matter, did it to you? Because you knew the whole season was really coming down to the Conference League final.
It meant, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it's all very well to say that, but the truth is, if you look at who we've been playing and the teams we've been playing, it meant nothing. It meant no reason to try and carry on pushing up that league because we couldn't get anywhere. What is interesting is for the first time in a very, very long time, there's 2 bold lines in between 15th on the league table. If you have a look on BBC Sport, you've got the bold lines on 8th, and then it goes all the way down to 15th, and you've got the bold lines in between number 15, which is ridiculous. That a team that finished in 15th are in the Europa League.
Amazing. Yeah, amazing. Well, look, we're almost out of time, but we've got to do the thing that we said we were going to do right at the beginning of the season, and we've got to look back at our predictions. So
This is going to be fun.
Very embarrassing, right?
Judging by how keen you are, Neil, something would tell me you did a bit better than me here. But let's see. Let's see.
So here we go. Look, so we've got.
Okay.
So we've got. These were the things we talked about from a club perspective that we thought might be happening this season. Right. Some of this is way off, but it's fun.
Oh, mate.
So we said, right, club top scorer, right? Let me go first here, right? Club top scorer. I was so far off. So I thought Jorginho would be the guy for us. I thought he was going to have his breakout big season. He was going to be it was his second season. He was going to be comfortable with it all. He's going to be playing up at number 9 because that's what happened in pre-season. That turned out to be an absolute. Yeah. He didn't even play half of the games. He was in a bad way this season. He didn't have a good season. He came a little better at the end. I think he found his way a little bit, but not great. Not great at all. For you, mate, you went route 1, and I can understand it completely. You said Mateta. But as you can see in those little brackets, just want to remind you also that you made the point of saying that you thought Jean-Philippe Mateta would be, yes, your club top scorer, but also at least in the top 3 in the Premier League as a whole.
Yeah, and I think that if he hadn't have gone off the rails and had his knee injury and fallen out with the club and all the other bits and pieces, he missed a lot of games in the middle. That was I went by the fact of the creation of chances and the fact that someone's got to be on the end of them. That potentially Mateta would be the one. Ironically, it ended up being Sarr scoring 21 goals, and Mateta still, believe it or not, ended up in 16 goals this season. So that's still not a bad effort,
No,
presuming everything that happened.
It's not at all.
But yeah, no, I was way off though. I did think he was going to be competing with Haaland, but there we go.
It's not a bad guess though, was it? Really, let's be honest. Coming off the other season that you just had, so Player of the Season was the next one. Now, when you look down these, look, I've almost got it right, but I got it wrong. So I got Player of the Season. I thought was be Yankuba Minta again, going off of pre-season. There's such a false sense of security it puts you in, right? So going off of the beginning of the season, I was thinking, right, he's on fire. He's going to do really well. He's going to get better and better as the season goes on. And I have to say, he had a good season, right? He wasn't bad this season. He's had a really good season. He's been a little bit inconsistent, but I don't think that was a bad shout ultimately. What about you?
Who did get you Player of the Season?
Well, so this is the thing, see? So Player of the Season is the breakout star on this list. So Ferdy, in some respects, I say I got my points here because he was our breakout star for the season because he ended up being our Player of the Season.
I think you're clutching at straws there, Neil, and I need to not be generous with this because I've done so badly. So no, you can't have that.
Okay, fine. So Player of the Season for Palace then. So you put Ismail Sarr.
Yep.
Who was Player of the Season for Crystal Palace, Andy?
Sarr.
Yay!
And not only the official Player of the Season, but also the Players' Player of the Season as well, and also the top scorer. So I'm taking that one because that's one of my only wins out of all this.
Mate, I'm on. One of us gets a point somewhere. I'm up for that. So one of us knows what we're talking about. Well done. Right. Okay. Yeah. So this is where it gets a little bit funny from my perspective.
Finish there?
No. I definitely want to talk about this one. Star signing. So this was very much about the new signings that came into the club in the summer. Who was going to be the absolute star of the ones that came in. Now, obviously, from Brighton, we had a handful of players that came in. I called out Babis Castulas, who I think you have to say from Brighton, from that perspective of the ones that we signed in the summer, I would say Babis Castulas was definitely our star signing. He's scored goals for us. He's come on in important games. He scored what is one of our goals of the season, the overhead kick at one point as well. And I think he's had a very good start to his Brighton career. For just being 18 years of age, I think he's done very well. So I would argue, Andy, that I got my point there for star signing.
I can't disagree with you, mate. I can't disagree with you at all. And Borna Sosa for Crystal Palace. Does he still play for Crystal Palace? No, he does.
Mate.
As a disclaimer, at the time that we did this, right, at the start of the season, Palace had only signed 3 players.
I know.
And we still didn't even know what competition we were playing in. So I think most of our new signings came in January.
Yeah.
And so we really only had 2 or 3 to pick from. And it was a bit of a tough list to pick from, to be brutally honest.
No, I agree.
Borna Sosa hasn't set the world alight. He was absolutely not a star signing.
This is the thing, isn't it? Like, hindsight-wise now, having signed the players that you signed in the winter transfer market as well, you had quite a few players come in now in the end. So who would you say? I think I know who I would say is your star signing for the season, but I'll let you go first.
It's hard, isn't it? It's hard. Look, from a unknown to known point of view, I'd go Camvo.
Yeah, that was my idea as well. That was my choice.
I'd go Camvo because he's a 17 now 18-year-old kid who's gone from playing reasonably low level football to basically covering for Gahey,
Yeah.
right? He has filled the spot, and that was the long-term vision of the club, but very well advertised, not the short-term vision of the club.
Yeah.
So much potential, so much so that this kid is already being linked with some seriously big clubs.
Yeah.
He's one to watch for the future.
Okay, so star signing was definitely not Borna Sosa, just to be clear, yeah?
Mate, nowhere near it. In fact, if there was a waste of money option,
we should have done that.
We might have put him in there.
Yeah, we should have done that. Okay, breakout star. So this was not necessarily about a star signing. It doesn't have to be signed, but it was the one that would come out and go, oh wow, we didn't know we had him. He was great. Like, he was fantastic. I said Ferdi Kadioglu because the season before he'd been injured most of the season, had a chance to play, and I stated that I thought he would be fantastic this season. And again, I think I've got the points here because he turned out to be our player of the season, and he was fantastic. So I'm arguing there, mate, that I was right with my prediction of Ferdi Kadioglu to be the breakout star for Brighton this season.
Yeah. Can't argue that, I guess.
Lovely. And then, so then, Andy, breakout star. You went
Mate,
with...
this was hard. Neil, this was hard because we didn't really have our squad assembled when we did this. But you can fair play. Look, SA breakout star, mate. I mean,
who's he playing for?
Well, he's playing for Coventry on loan. Well, he's obviously now back to the club and probably thinking to himself, he's actually got a shot now Glasner's gone. Because obviously Glasner hates the kid because he just didn't listen to him and decided to have a go at the end of a game when he should have kept the ball. I still think this kid has got a really big future ahead of him. It wasn't this season though, right? I'm completely and utterly misjudged, and I don't think you can kind of preempt what happened. But yes, he's got sent out to loan on Coventry. I think he played 17 games for Coventry, scored 2 goals, 1 assist. Didn't light Coventry up. I think with a bit of a cuddle and a bit of an arm around his shoulder, this kid can do good things. Whether it's for Crystal Palace or not, I don't know, because he was tearing it up at Millwall. So let's see. Yeah,
let's see. Okay, well, look, that was our main predictions. Then we did have to... we did have an outrageous prediction, so something a little bit left field that we had to talk about and what's going to happen. So you went really safe with this one, and I still can't believe I let you get away with this. Listening back to the recording,
first European,
but no, outrageous prediction. Outrageous.
Sorry. For Crystal Palace to win a 3rd trophy is outrageous. That is outrageous, isn't it not?
Okay.
I mean,
so you said you were going to win a trophy, and lo and behold, you did win a trophy, Andy, as we all know.
Yeah, with the 7 players that we had signed at the time. So, I mean, come on. It's like,
so congratulations. Look, I'm going to put
Thank
2 points there for Andy because you've got trophy and you've got Sarr as player of the season.
Can we just, for those who are listening and not watching this, I just want to pay reference to the industry-leading graphics that Neil's got going on here. Not only does it look wonderful, in real time, he's adding the points in at the bottom.
I'm adding the points now, yeah, absolutely. Have a look at this if you're listening to us. Have a listen on watch on Spotify or YouTube. Look, and then my outrageous prediction was that Fabian Herzler at some point during the season was going to have like links to one of the top 6 or something, like one of the top big clubs somewhere along the line.
Right. And has he?
So, on the 18th of January, 2026, the Brighton base, a very comfortable, well-known X account and website for Brighton News, retweeted information from numerous outlets, right? Saying, so Football Insider, The Athletic, other people as well, all saying, and I quote, Fabian Herzler has emerged as a top target for Tottenham, who are edging closer to sacking Thomas Frank.
Right, well, you've just proved your point there, mate, because Tottenham nearly got relegated.
No, but at the time of recording, I said top 6 club, and the top 6, the big 6, as always, you know who they are. That counts.
Not Tottenham.
That counts. That is one.
Are you actually giving yourself that?
Yeah. Who you've got to say at that point that Thomas Frank and Tottenham, that's a Big Six club, isn't it?
Well, in that case, I get the points for Essay because he actually did break out of Crystal Palace to Coventry. If we're being like that,
all right, fine, I won't take it. Okay.
No, I mean, listen, if you want it, you can have it.
No,
no,
bollocks.
You've got to take a win every now and again.
So, first signing, breakout star, I'll take those. So I'm going to say 2 there. All right, okay.
Give yourself 2.5.
Oh no, this is what it all comes down to. Hang on, 2.5 points. There you go. Look, there you go.
Yeah, you can have that.
And now the other predictions that we had, there was another few predictions that we thought we'd have a conversation about, which was Premier League generally, just other predictions about the league. Do you remember these?
Oh, I did. I did as good at this as I did on the first bit.
So here we go. Look.
All right.
So we had a go at Premier League winners. We predicted who would be the Premier League winners. I said Man City. I said Pep would come good again. You said Liverpool.
I think that this was even before we beat them in the
Charity Shield. Yeah.
I think I changed my mind immediately after that, actually.
Yeah.
But there we go. No, you done well because I'll be honest. I really thought Liverpool were going to do it. Obviously, Man City didn't do it, but they came closer.
Yeah.
But that still means that neither of us know anything about football.
Neither of us got it. Yeah, absolutely. So relegated. We said we had to name the 3 teams relegated.
Okay.
So here we did a little bit better. Between us, Andy, we got all 3. Which isn't bad. No, it's not bad though, is it?
Of which this is the first year that for a very long time that the 3 that came up didn't go down.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I said Burnley, Leeds, and Wolves. So obviously I got Burnley and Wolves. And Andy, you said Sunderland, Leeds, and West Ham. You called it. You said West Ham were going to be the ones that were going to look like dropping out of the league.
I was adamant that they were going down.
You were.
What I didn't quite work out was that good old Sunderland were going to be nowhere near it. And I worked out very quickly when they came to Selhurst Park and I saw them play. But they did very well in the transfer market, didn't they? And obviously Leeds did well as well. So yes, 1 out of 3 for me.
Then we had a sack race competition. We said who would be the first sacking of the season. I went with Leeds' Daniel Farker. Idiot. And you went with Keith Andrews, which, to be fair, I thought at the time was a good shout because we all thought...
I thought that was a really safe bet. He was the caretaker.
He was the set-piece coach at one point. Yeah, exactly. But he proved us all wrong, so we were way off there. Do you know who the first manager was that got sacked this season? Do you remember?
It was Nuno, wasn't it?
It was.
Which pleased me greatly at the time because I still wasn't over that.
One of the 200 managers that managed Nottingham Forest this season. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we had our who was going to be top of the league, or not top of the league, but above each other, mind the gap, as it were. So Seagulls or Eagles, who were going to finish higher. And embarrassingly, Andy, we both said Brighton. You couldn't even back your own team for that.
And listen, for the Crystal Palace fans out there, what I actually said live on air was we ain't going to be able to do both. Which was factually correct, right? We couldn't play 3 games in a week with our 7 players. So my thought was that Glasner would always prioritise Europe, which he did, which is why I thought that Brighton would finish above Crystal Palace. I didn't think that Palace would finish quite as low as we had, but also I didn't think it'd be as close in the league. So bearing in mind a lot of the teams that came up did very well, didn't they?
Yeah,
so,
no, I agree.
But you can have that one, mate.
Well, it means we both got the points there, so well done to you as well. You were at least right with your prediction.
But I did go against my own team, which hurt in every way, shape, and form.
Feels a little dirty.
I was being realistic.
Yeah. And then last but not least, surprise team. Now, just to clarify, you said Brentford, which looks great on paper, but actually, when I went back and listened to it, you said Brentford would be the surprise team because they'd be fighting relegation.
Yes, so I didn't. I mean, are we? Does the secondary bit still count? I mean, surprise. I like the fact that you put it in there in brackets.
Oh, I bloody did. Because for a split second when I was listening to it, I was going, "Oh no, he's got it right." And then you actually said, "Because I think they're going to get relegated or they'll be fighting relegation." I was like, "Oh, okay."
I've clearly been drinking before this, because I didn't even put them down to be relegated.
No, you didn't.
Either, did I? So I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But you, on the other hand. I mean, you've listened to this, I haven't. So I'm assuming that you got this right with Sunderland, did you?
I did. I called it. I said at the time, I think they've signed some really great players. They've got a very clever coach and that the Stadium of Light will be unbelievably difficult to get any points from. And I said that I think they'll be the surprise team. I think I said that they'd be top half. That's all I said. I didn't realise they'd be as good as they were, obviously. But no, fantastic from Sunderland. But yeah, and that means I got that right as well. Yeah.
Well done, mate.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well done.
So let's count that up. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 on top of my 2.5 points that you gave me. So let's put that in there. So that's 6.
I can hear the calculator in the background now.
Thank you. Yeah, that's about the best I can do. So move that over. And Andy, you've got another, 2 points? West Ham.
Don't take long to add mine up.
2 points. Okay, yeah. So you've ended on 4 points. There we go. So
yeah,
Neil is the champion of the predictions. There we go.
And that, listeners, is the reason we're not doing the podcast anymore.
Love it. Oh, God.
Congratulations, Neil. Congratulations. I don't know, was there any kind of forfeit? I don't think there was.
No.
We didn't mention it, did we?
Thankfully,
Which is good,
no.
because I think if there was any kind of wearing a Brighton shirt or something, then, I think I might have tried a bit harder. Yeah, well done, mate. Well done.
Thank you, mate.
Your footballing prowess is apparent.
Oh, I appreciate that. That's all I've got left, mate. Listen, I suppose at the end of all of this that we probably should say goodbye, Andy.
Yeah, mate. Listen, I've thoroughly enjoyed doing this podcast, and for those of you listening that have listened every week, I think it's there is no greater story to this. Me and Neil have not fallen out. We are still neighbours. I think doing a podcast is a massive commitment, right? A huge commitment, mostly ironically for Neil, because he does all the mixing, he does all the graphics, and all I have to do every week is put some kind of script together and rock up and do some of the socials and stuff. But obviously it's a big commitment, and obviously with families and work and travelling and all the other bits and pieces that go on, it's very hard to try and keep it going, especially when you've got 2 games a week, European games, all the other bits and pieces. So I think that's all this is really, which is that struggle to kind of keep it going over the last 6 months. And but listen, mate, we've had a blast, haven't we? It's been great. It's been great from the days that we were sat in your studio talking without the cameras to now sat in front of the laptops with all of the cameras. Mate, you've done a brilliant job in putting it all together.
Listen, mate, we both have. Honestly, it's been so much fun. You've been such a great help to all of this. I think it wouldn't be anything without you as well. And I think it's been so much fun to do it. We've been on TV, mate. We've been on local radio.
Do you know what?
It's been so much fun.
Mate, we've been on the news. We've got hundreds of thousands of social media, like, what was it, 95,000 or something this week. Yeah. Ironically, our listener numbers are probably going to shoot up after that next week, and they'll be like, where's the pod gone? But mate, honestly, it's been great. And neither me or you ever did this for the glory, ever did this to be... to put ourselves out there. We did it because it was 2 mates, 2 neighbours who wanted to do something fun. And I think we've achieved our goal. And also, we've been there through what I think is probably one of the most exciting periods of certainly Crystal Palace fan. It was a good time for me to do a podcast, won the FA Cup a few weeks after we started it. And for you to have achieved European football in this thing as well, it's brilliant, isn't it? Yeah. So, yeah, thank you, Neil. And what I would encourage the listeners to do is to take your enthusiasm for this podcast and keep it going for Neil's other projects, which I'm sure will continue to flow. Do you want to tell him about what you've currently got going on?
Got Trouble with Football, which is something I'm really enjoying doing. So if anybody wants to have a look at some more podcasts, football related, some really fun guests I've got on, it's called Trouble with Football, and it's just a laugh, and it's everything that we know that annoys us about the game. So have a listen to that if you can. And then, yeah, stay tuned for other stuff. You never know.
And you never know, guys. You never know. Things might change. We might pop back again. But for now, we're off. And yeah, mate, that is the very last episode of Seagull Eagle.
Absolutely right. And you're right, Andy. When we started this podcast, it was just two neighbours having a chat about the clubs that we love, and somehow people actually listened.
Not only listened, Neil, but emailed us, messaged us, argued with us, corrected us, abused us at times, and joined in every week. And we loved it.
Yeah. And since we started, we've had it all, right? We've had cup runs, European adventures, trophies, transfer rumours, enough terrible predictions to keep us all humble for the next decade. But also, as we say goodbye, we can both look forward to a season of European adventures as well. How perfect is that?
Yeah, we've laughed a lot. We've disagreed even more. And the best part of it has all been sharing it with all of you.
Yeah. Whether you've been here from episode 1 or found us recently, and you've helped turn a silly idea into something neither of us expected. So thank you very much.
Neil, it's been a pleasure.
Andy, likewise.
And all that's left to say, as we normally do,